What's going on, everybody? Josh Callaway here with AllSooners, and alongside John Hoover, Ross Lovelace at the stadium in Norman, wrapping up the OU spring game on a cold, windy Saturday afternoon in April. A little over 50,000 people in attendance. Not as big as last year, but still pretty good. I believe it was it the fourth highest attended spring game of this spring season unofficially? So a pretty good turnout for Oklahoma as you got to see all the new guys. Kyler Murray was honored. We're going to wrap it up for you here on AllSooners for you. So let's go ahead and dive in. Offense up first. What do we think? You got to see Jackson Arnold for the first time. You got to see some of these new running backs. You got to see some of these new receivers. Offensive line was a little hodgepodge, as Brent Venables said earlier this week. That's why they didn't do a normal game, because they didn't have enough offensive linemen to do it. So that kind of lets you know where they were at going in. What do we think, though? What do we think of the offense here in this this unofficial practice scrimmage, whatever you want to call it?
Practice 15 for Team 129 is what this was.
Spring
practice 15. It's hard to grade the offense on anything today because they didn't have a starting left tackle. They didn't have their backup left tackle. Either one, whether that's Rouse or Sexton, either one, they were both gone. They're missing a guy or two on the backup unit, on the second unit. So it's just missing so many tight ends. You got one tight end wearing a club who caught a touchdown.
Right.
There was kind of a piecemeal, hodgepodge kind of thing. Quarterback-wise, I thought Dillon Gabriel started slow, obviously, and then he threw 3 touchdown passes in the second quarter, including one to Blake Smith, the man with the club. He said it wasn't a hard catch to make, which is incredible. I mean, it was just totally wrapped. And
I thought when I saw him in warm-ups, I thought that guy's not catching.
Yeah, I asked Dylan. I said, "Did you have total confidence he would catch it when you let it go?" He goes, "100% confidence." So, the running backs I thought looked good. They ran physical. They ran hard. You saw Tawee Walker again take the bulk of the carries. That's the design of a spring game. Works for me. But I thought the young guys looked really good, really physical, ran hard like we've seen them in practice several times this year.
Sure.
Wide receivers made plays kind of all over the field, and there was a lot of wide receivers, and that's kind of been the question mark. Is there going to be a 1,000-yard receiver in this group? Or is there going to be 3, 4, 5 guys who catch 30 passes, 40 passes for 300 yards, 400 yards, 500? Kind of looked like the latter today.
Yeah, I agree. I think I was really impressed by the running back room, like you mentioned, and really Gavin Sawchuk, too. I thought that he really showed a lot kind of from where he was in the Cheez-It Bowl and was able to really build off of that performance against Florida State. He had that walk-in touchdown today, the swing pass, and I thought he just really ran hard. And then Dalen Smothers came in at the very end, and he really ran hard. He bounced off of tackles, and he was very impressive. And then, the wide receivers, the one who stood out to me is DJ Graham. He made some great plays. He adjusted to the ball in the air really well on some short passes. He wasn't given much there on the outside of the field, and he really turned it into something. So I was really impressed with DJ Graham.
Made a move. You saw Jalil Farouk with a big catch, another touchdown. So I think the offense looks pretty good. Dillon Gabriel, like I said, started slow, came in fast, finished the first half fast. It was those two guys. It was him and it was Jackson Arnold to play quarterback in the first half. The backups, the third team, fourth team guys, they got all the reps at the end in the second half, except for the final drive that Jackson Arnold leads. He finally gets to go operate with the one offense against the twos. And what does he do? He drives them right down the field. So what do we have, a quarterback controversy? No, I'm kidding.
I'll tell you what, Jackson Arnold, that was the big. I mean, everybody wants to see what he looks like, and he was set up to fail, I guess, for lack of a better way to describe it. He was with the 2 offensive line. He had no protection. His snaps for his feet half the time, felt like. And then, you're right, though. The one time he kind of got to have the ones in the big clutch situation, it's a spring game. But at the end of the game on the line, dot to Gavin Freeman over the middle. That there's going to be conversations. Dillon Gabriel's going to start week 1, but those conversations are going to happen if the season goes a similar way and they're losing some games early like last year. That's going to happen.
You buried the lead. Final score was 84-82 for the defense.
84-82.
Hey, I have a theory about this. We'll talk about it on the pod, but I don't think that was a mistake. So we'll go to the podcast, AllSooners podcast, see if you can see what you guys think about it.
There's going to be some national guy who's like, 80, no defense over there, 84. What is that?
Big 12 defenses.
Big 12 defenses. Continue to really like Caleb Hicks. I just think that guy doesn't look like a freshman at all. He looks like Eric Gray, but Eric Gray was a senior. You know what I mean? Like he looks bigger and more ready than Dalen Smothers does. They're 2 guys that are the same age, obviously, there. And, overall, okay day, I guess, offensively. Not great.
Listening to Arnold talk after the game, it was interesting how much he needed that last drive. He kind of said it was the bow to tie it all together after a spring. A spring of learning, a spring of lots of, this was 15th practice, like we said, and then was a little bit of a rough day until that last drive, because of all the injuries and because of how he was kind of set up to fail. But that last drive really gives him a ton of confidence heading into, summer workouts, even the fall, and just kind of a leadership role. He was able to command the field on that last drive and willed the team to the end zone.
Fortunately, though, Jaden Gibson, ouch. John Keck dropped the game-winning two-point conversion. I think we all expect big things of him. Talked to him the other day after practice. He's excited for the second year. That's going to stick with him, I think, probably for the summer. He had the game winner in his mitts, right in the one on his jersey. Didn't catch it. All right, flip side, defensively. Obviously, if we're saying the offense wasn't great and was kind of uneven, that means the defense did pretty well, and I thought the defense was great. Especially,
they scored 84 points.
They scored 84 points. The first several drives of this game, the first 4 or 5 drives, the offense couldn't move. Defense dominated early, suffocating. What'd you think?
Yeah, it was the one defense against the two offense mostly. A lot of interaction, a lot of substitutions, a lot of guys coming in and out. But mostly it was the one defense against the two offense and the one offense against the two defense. So a little bit of a mismatch at times for guys. You finished that offensive segment talking about number one. I want to start the defensive segment talking about number one. Deshaun McCulloch was everywhere. Now, he finished the game officially with 3 tackles. I thought it would have been about 23. He had 3 on one drive that I know of, or that I felt like he was out there making plays. He's ready. He is he's the cheetah. But guess what? His understudy, the guy who's teaching him how to play the cheetah position, right? Justin Harrington, played fantastic. I think he had 7 tackles today. Yeah. Brent Venables said he is playing exceptional football, and he can't wait to see what he does in the season. He's just at another level right now. So the cheetah position looks amazing. Young linebackers, you saw them active, you saw them aggressive, you saw them making mistakes. I didn't really pay much attention to the defensive line outside of an occasional pass rush, but the secondary, the secondary looks good.
Yeah, I thought the secondary was really impressive.
Yeah.
From the beginning of the game, Peyton Bowen with the incredible interception. Yeah, Reggie Pearson, he covers a lot of ground quick.
Very active.
Yeah, and he's great in the open field, just bringing guys down, diving at their feet, that kind of thing. And then you mentioned the defensive line. I thought Grayson Halton really stood out on the defensive line. I think he finished with 2, sacks. But he was really getting in the backfield. And again, just like Sawchuk, from the Cheez-It Bowl, he was able to build on that performance. And he was one of the the bright young stars of that game. And so I was really impressed with Halton and even R. Mason Thomas. He just looks like a beast on the field. He looks like a different kind of player than he was a year ago.
Yeah, been pumping the Reggie Pearson propaganda all spring camp, and I was reinforced today. He looked the part. Some really nice hits in open field.
I still don't know what they're going to do with their safeties, though.
It's loaded. It's a loaded position.
There's 3 returning starters, 2 returning starters and a transfer who started for 3 years at other schools. How's Pearson going to get on the field? He needs to be on the field. He's exceptionally good. Where's he going to play? Key Lawrence might have to hang on to his job.
Yeah, and then there's that Bowen guy, like you mentioned earlier.
Bowen, where's he coming from? He's a freshman.
Yeah, making that great
really
play.
Yeah.
I think that was the biggest thing to note today for defensively is the depth. The depth's a lot better than it was last year. That killed them last season, not having enough guys to rotate, and they were out of gas in the fourth quarter of all these games all year long last year. That should be better, I think, this year. As you just look at, like you said, it was the one-team defense going against the two-team offense. Well, the flip of that, and again, it took Gabriel and that offense some time to figure it out against a lot of the twos on defense. So depth there, which is a good thing for Oklahoma fans.
And the linebackers, the youth that I mentioned, Kobe McKenzie and Kip Lewis, I thought very active. Kip Lewis piled up something like, 11 tackles?
Yeah,
leading tackler on the day. Very active, very out there, and hitting guys fearless. That was cool. It was cool to see.
With as many injuries as this team had on the field, it didn't necessarily feel like that all the time. It felt like we were still seeing a lot of talented players. I think, last spring game, if you would have taken the injuries that they had this year and put them on that team, this spring game would not have looked remotely close to that. I just think the depth speaks volumes this year.
Fulbachati, I thought, looked pretty good, too.
Yep. Brent loves him, too.
He loves him. He surprised Brent a little bit.
Called him Big Phil. That threw me off. You have another Big Phil who's like 6'10". Wait, he did what?
Yeah. You already got Big Phil is on the staff, and then you go Phil Lodell stands out. What about the DeMarco Murray J. Valette punt contest? Did you like that?
That was fun.
That was a mismatch.
DeMarco Murray did not break a sweat.
No, that was a mismatch.
He saw the ball. He took a few steps every single time. While You know, Jay was...
He had a headset on and
Jay was
sunglasses.
ready to rock and roll. Jay was springy. He was bouncing around, trying to go chase down all the balls.
Yeah, he was
pretty
max
funny.
effort, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter. So obviously, you know, the big part of the day is to see the new guys and everything. But obviously, the other huge part of the day was Kyler Murray's statue was unveiled last night to a select group. Today was the public reveal this morning. I was there. It was pretty cool.
How many people were out there? Was it just
a
packed?
lot?
Yeah.
A lot. I was actually pretty surprised. It was a very big crowd out there at Heisman Park. Cool deal. Kyler Murray gets his statue. I think it looks good. I think he's got Baker beat on statue, which was a low bar. It was a low bar.
It was kind of a low bar.
It was a very low bar, but it looks good. You know,
He's throwing.
You compare it to some photos, it really
One
does
of
look
those.
pretty close to his throwing motion, and just a
He
pretty
got
cool
to pick
day.
it. He said he wanted to
He
do
gets
it.
to pick it.
He said everybody thinks I'm a running quarterback, which is fine, but he said I wanted to pose where I'm throwing.
Yeah,
Good for him.
I always thought, he's gonna pick throwing because I don't think he ever liked the notion that he is like a running.
Meanwhile,
because he wasn't really.
who's got 14,000 yards passing, doing a stiff arm.
Well, he's going to do that because he was stiff arming OSU.
Yeah,
that was the
exactly.
main reason for that.
Exactly.
Great run.
What are we thinking about the day for Kyler, though, in the weekend?
Pretty cool.
Obviously, yeah, very cool. You did a great job, as they always do with these kind of things. Lots of cool videos and stuff like that. And great to see the former players. Always cool Steve Owens gets out here and Billy Sims. And it's, Jason White was here. Sam Bradford was at the thing last night. No way he was coming to this. That's not his scene at all. But a cool, weekend celebrating Kyler a little bit.
Yeah, and I asked Kyler a question because I just was curious about the answer. We haven't gotten a chance to talk to him since he left in 2000, after the 2000 Pro Day, 2019, I guess, Pro Day. His predecessor, the person he followed at Oklahoma, and the person who just signed a max contract as the highest paid player in the NFL, Jalen Hurts. Man, he was gushing about Jalen Hurts. This was at the end of the press conference, but the Brent Venables part, where he said, when I was with Clemson and we were preparing for Oklahoma versus Alabama in the Orange Bowl, he said he saw them play and he was like, oh my gosh, I do not want to face that little number one for Oklahoma. I do not want to face Kyler Murray. Didn't have to face him in the championship game, but that says volumes when best defensive coordinator of the best defense in the country is hoping Alabama wins so they can play them. I mean, he said the words, pick your poison, but that says a lot about Kyler.
And no matter where he's at, Brent's always got a soft spot in his heart for OU. So for him to say that he hopes Alabama goes out and beats OU so he doesn't have to scheme for Kyler just shows how impressive he was in that one season. I also thought it was really funny that Kyler even had any sort of discourse with Lincoln about, should I come back? And he said, Lincoln said, absolutely not. Hell no. Yeah.
Get the hell out of here.
Which he went number one, so probably the right move for Kyler.
Worked out.
But that was, I think, the part that stuck with me the most was that. It was Kyler being so open in that he really wanted to come back and play another year. And he, to the point that he even broached Lincoln Riley with the idea of, could I come back? And Lincoln said, no, man, you can't. And that's just doing right by your players.
Well, the statement out here at halftime was the same as what he said Friday, which was, I went to the wrong school.
Yeah.
He said that in front of 40,000 people out here. I went
They
to
loved
the wrong
it.
school, and they loved it.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was great. It was a cool deal. Kyler, not as big of a personality as Baker, so we knew he wasn't going to go for as long as Baker did and stuff like that. But he did a good job. He's opened up a little bit. I think he's got a little more used to media in his NFL time.
Yeah.
Felt a little.
We're softies here in
looser.
Oklahoma. We all love him here in Oklahoma, right? We're not like those evil dudes in Phoenix that just
no kidding.
tear him apart.
The other thing,
Totally
Arizona
kidding.
Cardinals, they were here. That was pretty cool.
Oh,
Coach
really cool.
Jonathan Gannon was here. That was pretty cool. So, cool day with Kyler, and his statue's out there right next to Jason White at Heisman Park. All right, I think that's it for us. Full expounded thoughts on the game coming up on the podcast. We'll get obviously Ryan Chapman in here and
He's
get
doing
his thoughts.
softball right now. So
He's grinding away on some softball right now. So Ross hopped in. Good work. Thanks
you.
for being here
Appreciate
for the spring game. And lots there for you on AllSooners.com. And I mean a lot. We had a commit today for OU football. We had a basketball transfer today. Baseball maybe going to sweep a doubleheader with Texas out of nowhere. It's been a softball, obviously. It's been a crazy day for OU sports. So AllSooners.com, where you need to be. Tons of spring game coverage there from Kyler stuff, the game, post-game reaction, all of that, as long as some great written stories, obviously, from these two and Ryan as well. That's all there for you on AllSooners.com and, of course, over on Hugh's YouTube page as well, John Hoover Media. That's it for now. Post-game pod coming up with Ryan Chapman and me and Hoove. Be sure to look out for that. That's it for now. We'll see you then. For Ross Lovelace and John Hoover, I'm Josh Callaway.